And man.
Well, hello everybody. Thank you very much for getting on here. I just had a flashback. Me and Matt used to, built our network so big, but there used to be a video on the front of one of our pages that the very first thing I would say is "Hello everybody," and so every time we went to YouTube, we got to hear me say that. It was like so I hope it's not too annoying. So, hi, Dustin. Hi, Deborah, Jane, Melody, Deborah Grady, Mary, Matthew, Hannah and Ezra, Coach Bob, Eric, Dana, Mike and Trish, Sandy, of course, Craig. You guys are going to really like this video because what I'm going to talk about on this video is the reason that Terry and I are so successful is because of an unfair advantage. Unfair advantage. And on top of being in an unfair advantage, I'm also, want to name this video challenge. I don't, yeah, it's funny when I first thought of the name challenge, Terry and I watch the Cash Cab, and it's like, it's got the red light challenge, and so it's like, and you got to list off a bunch of stuff. But here's why. And when I first say this, I hope that people start completely watch this video instead of jumping off of it right away. Because I need each and every one of you to know that there was one time that, I was a little younger. It was in a company that I was involved in where I met Craig, and that's where I met Melody. And not bragging here. That's why I don't want you guys to tune out. It's like I had 738,000 people in that group. We are doing $43 million a week. So my organization was doing billions of sales a year. Just let that sink in. What I want to do now is I want to do it again, and I want to do it with you.
Bring you with.
Okay. So at one time, I had 9 people in my group that are making over $1 million a year. Do any of you want a hunk of that, a piece of pie of that? And again, if you don't need that kind of money, I always tell people, great, you've already figured out how to make money, live on the money that you're making right now. So if you make extra money that just bothers you, just give it away. In fact, I can give you to a lot of orphans that you can give the money to, children and widows, like it's instructed in the gospel. And here's why. When people used to come see me and we talk about the product, the everything, the one thing, hi, Sarah, hi, Karina, Scott, Faith, thank you guys for jumping on, is one of the things, Esther, is one of the things I would say all the time is people would say to me, they go, why this company? Why? Why this company? And I would look at them right in the eyes and I'd go, because I'm in it. How many of you have that kind of confidence? So the reason that you need to be in this company and doing what I'm doing is because I'm doing it. And the reason that I bring that up to each and every one of you is in other companies, I always made whatever the company had, their comp plan, their product line, whatever they had, their training, whatever. To me, it was always the best that you could find. Does that make sense to you guys? And so one of the things I want to do with this challenge video is I want to challenge every one of you. I know that what we'll do is maybe get Matt, hopefully, to do some editing on it, or Craig to do some editing on it. But I've never, ever, ever have I had a product that had this much documentation, this much science, this many patents. There's language that I'm learning, like Gold Star. What is a Gold Star clinical study? A Gold Star clinical study means that they not only have a placebo with a split group of people, but the study in clinical science is done on human beings. That's what a gold standard is. So how many of you guys know that there's a lot of clinical studies that are done on animals? You know what I mean? Or done on mice or whatever. I think that it takes a little more horsepower and a little bit of money a lot of money and a lot of years to do clinical studies on people. Do you guys know where I'm coming from? Is I think that your product needs to have quite a bit of documentation. So the reason that I'm going to do this is I'm going to fly through these things, and what we'll do is we'll make sure that we put links below to each and every one of these. Now, where I came up with this idea of video is Terry's best friend, Jolie Kramer. She's a nurse. And yesterday, I talked about how you introduce people to stuff, and Trish and Mike were on there, and one of the things I want to say to each and every one of you is that, you know, when I always think, what's in it for me, right? So I look at them and it's got WWIFM on their head. You know what I mean? What's in it for me? So when I tell people, listen, I'd like to share something with you, but what would be something you'd want to see first, right? We have over 3,000 testimonials from individuals. Would you like to see those? Or would you like to see the scientific documentation? Would you like to see the clinical documentation? Would you like to see doctors that are actually training other doctors on how valuable and how well this product does what it does? Would you like the link to the physician's desk reference? Would you like documentation about our product, Immunocal, is the highest percentage of protein that's available in the world? Did you guys know that? There's a little video that we have that shows how they measure protein. And when you put eggs and meat and all the stuff that has protein, and you get to whey protein, and then you see an Immunocal goes past that. So how many people do you know right now are just freaks on protein? It's just, that's a word that's been out there forever. So for you to be able to say to somebody, hey, are you a person that thinks protein's important to your body? Oh, yeah. Well, why wouldn't you use the very best protein? Do you guys see where the challenge comes from? You know what I mean? It's like, listen, if your product is better than ours, then can you prove it? Can you prove it? Right? So you guys have seen where not only did Craig post the list here, but what I want also people to know that I'm going to share some links with you guys, and we're just going to go through these things where you're going to go, wow, I wish I had that link. Wow, I had that. I wish I had that link. And so when you have this kind of documentation, sometimes it's overwhelming because, you know, this company has actually produced articles on their blog that talks about the research that they did that shows scientific proof, clinical proof, that this works for autism. One of the very first presentations that we did is as Mike, the president of Immunotec, was going through the product, Chris Robinson, a dear friend of ours, asked at the very end, I'm not used to seeing a presentation like this. You're constantly talking about the proof, the clinical science, the documentation. How can you say that? Because I know that some of you know this. I've been involved in companies my entire life, but the problem is you got to go through compliance. And compliance says that you can't say anything. So it's just amazing about that. I don't know if some of you recently know, too, that Dr. Gutman also has a website called glutathione.org. And again, he just keeps piling the information on us. So the first thing I want to do, and Craig, you could post this, is let me go over to my links here. Okay, so as we go through this, let me grab that for you, Craig. I apologize. Maybe I can just post it. And then Craig can repost it.
Sure.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is go through um, Google Drive. Why did it show this? Okay, do you guys see that okay?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, cool. So this is the Google Drive that I posted, right? So we're constantly putting stuff in here all the time, right? Nobelprize.org. But these are all the testimonials, the stuff that I have on the playlist. This is the scientific PDF. I just heard that this is going to 100 clinical studies now. Dr. Gutman talked about that on his post. This is the one where it shows the most valuable protein. Again, I have that in a playlist. In comparison to other. Okay. But what I want to share with each and every one of you is I got to go backwards. There we go. Is all the stuff that I'm sharing with you guys here, you'll find on here, but there's some things that I'm going to say that I need to put in here, right? So the first thing, when I got in, I got sent this document, and this is Immunotec Spanish testimonials. Hands out to Matt. Matt has taken a lot of each and every one of these, and he's at kidney stones. Oh, wow. Okay. Terry was just asking me about that. But you look at every one of these, and regardless if you can enunciate it or HIV.
What about hot flashes?
Yeah. But Matt is taking the time to take some of these and put it into dubbed English, right? And those testimonials are, before I got on here, I was going to do this too, right here, maybe. Okay, so yeah, these are dubbed Spanish ones here. All right. So of course, Matt doesn't have all 3,000 of them yet, but here's something that I will bring up on this on this video, is that I didn't go to AI. I wanted to before I jumped on here, and if I just went to AI and said, "Listen, I have video Spanish testimonials," what is the easiest way to find out what they're saying in English? Because I think that each and every one of you could take time to download, and then upload these videos to your own YouTube channel. Does that make sense? Now, here's something that's very, very important, is that you want to keep them unlisted, right? Because the only people that's going to complain about what we're doing is our competition, right? So, we don't want to take all 3,000 of these in Spanish and then put them live on public. You can get a link to them and send them, right? And so I don't know how many of you guys have taken the time. I got to go back here. Messed up. Okay. We'll go back here on this drive here, and again, Matt even constantly does graphics and stuff. If you guys haven't seen some of these graphics and videos, Terry's also gone to the the Immunotec Facebook page, and you guys can, Terry has got some of the reviews that are there. But my biggest reason for doing all of this is when you look at some of these documents, especially this one here. This is I don't know if some of you are using this, but this right here is the scientific medical publications for Immunocal. And so I believe that it's like 100 and something pages, 126 pages. But what I do to find stuff in this is there's the doctors that you see right there. And what I do to share with people stuff is I'll actually just click control and find, but I'll send this whole link to people, right? And then if I just put cancer in here, then you can see it's mentioned 280 times. Are you guys seeing that? And so I can go through every one of these documents and find out that on page 24, blind, boy, how do you say that word, Craig? Blind
Prehabilitation, blinded prehabilitation studies.
What's fun for me is knowing that there's a lot of these words that I can't say, but I do understand how powerful they are. Does that make sense? And so the other thing that I'll do here is I tell Terry I got this. I just put these on Notepad, right? But this is the link right here. And Craig, I don't know if you have it. I'll
I already
grab
posted
it.
it in the chat.
Okay. I gotta go backwards to chat. Okay. Now, for some people, when you say it's in the physician's desk reference, they don't even know what that is, right? But for some of you to understand that Immunocal is inside the physician's desk reference, it very simply means that doctors look in the physician desk reference. It's also in whatever it's called in Canada. They have it in Canada as well. But what it does is when, the doctor finds out what they think is wrong with you, they can look up in the physician's desk reference of what they should tell you to do, what they should prescribe you. And so for it to be in the physician's desk reference, there's very few companies that have their product in the physician's desk reference. Does that make sense to you guys? Then the other thing that I show people, and you guys will get a kick out of this because you'll get to know a little bit about my history. But the way that I've always done this industry and was taught this by my mentor 39 years ago is I could tell you about all the awful things that are in your tap water, or I could let Time Magazine, Newsweek Magazine, People Magazine tell you, because when Ralph Nader, consumer advocate, was running for president, he's the one that figured out that everyone's tap water was basically toxic. And so he said, listen, there's not good tap water in the United States. So then he came out with a study, and then it ended up getting on the front page of every major magazine. So Terry used to see me do this, stand in front of the room, and I'm going like, how many of you think that your tap water is okay? And then I would just go through Newsweek, People Magazine, World Magazine, go through all these magazines about them talking about how bad tap water was. So it's always, if you can use third-party documentation, it's amazing. So some of you know that group that I built with was a company called Gano Excel. And so this PubMed is the world's largest library on medical scientific publications, right? So we talked yesterday about being in a publication. So when I first got in, heard about this, I put in Ganoderma. And because how many people know what a red mushroom is? See, Lingxi, red mushroom, the emperor's mushroom. It's the best mushroom in the world. It does all this stuff for you, right? But what I would do is I'd stand in front of the room and go to pubmed.gov, a governmental website, and I put in Ganoderma and look at, there's 4,200 results of basically telling you how incredible that Ganoderma is for your body. Now, I'd also show little news reports, right, about how incredible it is. But third-party documentation has always been the key to my success, is just telling them, listen, go to PubMed or do a little video showing this. So then I went from this company to another company that you guys know about. MDC. So let me go back to CBD, right? So then I go to CBD and I go from 4,200 to 14,303. So I don't have to tell you how good CBD is. These are all the reports that were done on the cannabidiol system. And everyone out there tries to do the scientific stuff, right? And say the name and the system, and the doctors don't know about the system, just like they don't know about the next thing I'm going to talk about. But when I went from 4,000 to 14,000, how many people think that I use this kind of information to be able to build a very large sales group? And Terry and I, made $5.3 million by me sharing with people how good CBD was. There was one thing that I found very interesting about my time in MDC. There were some people that there was no way that I could get them to think that this wasn't marijuana. Did you guys run into some people that were like, listen,
Hi.
it's like, man, you know what I mean? The devil's lettuce, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, I'm going to take all my clothes off and run down the street. It was just, so even though we made 5.3 million and built a group of 32,000 people, there was a lot of people that were resistance against this company and this product. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Then we know that everyone and their dog started making CBD, so you could buy it at CVS, the gas station, every gas station, even in little Billings and Laurel, Montana. We were driving down the street and there's flags that are flagging that says CBD on them, and it's like, so we caught that timing, but then it seemed like overnight, you couldn't explain to anyone that the CBD that they were buying from these dispensaries or gas stations wasn't real CBD. You know what I mean? It wasn't the quality that we were marketing. So now all of a sudden we go into Immunotec, and I put glutathione in here. Uh-oh, help me.
GLUUTA TITH.
Should
be
able to be
There it
looked
is.
up by
That's
the
it.
God particle, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now watch it go from 14,000 to 199,906. Now, one of the things that I thought was really crazy when I looked this up on PubMed is that, are you guys blowing away that, 1923 was the first scientific clinical thing that they had on glutathione. The other thing to look is, do you see where it's constantly going up? So there's been more studies. There's been 10,700 clinical studies done last year alone. So how many people think that's a pretty good trend? You know what I mean? So when people are like, hey, and like everyone said, I've actually talked to a bunch of people, and I'll say to them, listen, do you know what your glutathione levels are? And they go, excuse me? But that's what they said about CBD, and that's what they said about, Ganoderma lucidum. Are you guys catching me where I'm going here? And so we got all this documentation that I know that each and every one of you need to take the time to have in a little notepad, all of this stuff, because when you start nailing this stuff and showing them, that would be my deal. My challenge would be, again, I have an unfair advantage. How easy is it to build a loyal, satisfied customer base on a product that has 45 years of clinical studies on it, that has patents on it? And what I know that people are doing is people are actually sharing this information with people, and people are resistant because they feel like you're trying to educate them, and you're trying to act like you know more than them because you discovered it, and you're trying to sell it to them instead of giving them a challenge of going, listen, here's some information, check it out, and let them do their own due diligence, right? So now there's only one resistance that I've run into, and if any one of you have this, you could post it in the chat for me. So I'm asking for your help, because recently I posted an article, or someone did, where there's a lot of companies out there right now that, Gary Brecka and some of these people are doing this ROH stuff. They're doing patches, they're doing pills, they're doing IVs, they're doing everything. And they actually give you a buzzword like we mix it with liposuction or something, right? And that's supposed to allow it to get into your body. So do any of you have that study that I posted? Because that's one of the ones that I didn't grab before I got on here. So when you're talking about autism, or you're talking about someone that says, well, I'm already taking a glutathione product, I would go, listen, if I were you, I'd watch Dr. Gutman, on probably that's where I maybe found the article now that I think about it. But you got to watch this interview with Dr. Gutman, the renowned expert on glutathione, talking about why our product is clinically studied to do more than theirs. See, don't try to tell them that, but you want to have this little thing that they wrote up, right? Or tell them to watch this interview. Because what I would say to somebody is, again, like I talked about yesterday, if someone told me that they were already taking glutathione, I'd go, man, you are incredible.
You're ahead of the game.
Most people don't even know what glutathione is, and you know what it is, and you're also taking a product to help with your glutathione. Man, kudos. See, you don't want to fight them, and you just want to say, now that you know what it is, I used to be involved with a company that sold CBD. And a lot of people didn't know that the majority of CBD that was sold, they didn't even have CBD in the bottle. So if you understand how important glutathione is, would you be willing to listen to a doctor say the differences between ours versus theirs? Do you guys catch that? Because if you already pat them on the back for understanding glutathione and doing something about it, then why wouldn't you continue your research? Does that make sense to everyone? So the last thing that I'll share with you guys here is everybody always seems like they want to put together the information to educate people, when in reality, if you guys want to see where I got a majority of my customers, I liked Mike's last power call. You know what I mean? Because he's like, hey, there's a crazy person out there that got 19 free boxes of Immunocal. And it was like, yeah, that's me. So, because I think the total that I ended up getting for the 2 months was like 68 or 69, 70, right in there. But if you guys go to the Immunotec website, and I always tell people to do this all the time. If you went to Immunotec and / your username, right? And all you did is slowly go through this site. Number 1 in glutathione research, thriving community in 14 countries, globally endorsed by professional sports. So you keep going through here, and what you're going to find is all the information you wanted to be able to blast at them is all on this page. 45 plus years of research, 85 plus scientific publications. Again, the next publication that comes out from Dr. Gutman will be over 100. He's already got more scientific publications on it, 79 patents. And if you keep going through here, do you notice where it says our studies and standards? Meet Immunocal. So it's like you click on here and it's like, wow, 23 gold studies. So if some of you really wanted to educate people, you could do a video of you going through this website. Because maybe they won't take the time to go through the website, right? So there was a guy that just recently reached out to me and he said, listen, I understand how Immunocal is so great for recovery, but do you notice that it has any performance? Like, are people taking it for performance? And all I did is went on the website, found out where it was talking about the athletes, and sent them the page on the athletes. But between us, I have never seen a website that was more had more documentation on it than this website. And I can guarantee that a majority of people are like, well, I don't know what to send them. How about sending them your link? And then they're like, well, I have some questions. So you didn't go through the page. Right? So that's all. Do you have anything that you would like to add?
Well, I just looked up Chat GPT because I posted about, Mike said we had two people, one had good glutathione and one didn't, and they had surgery. And so the one with the glutathione healed way faster. And so I just put that on my Facebook page yesterday, and a lady that's in LifeWave with the glutathione patches, she's like, oh, blah, 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 and they, this patch raises your glutathione by 300%. So I just went on Chat GPT. Bullshit. But I just asked, what is the difference between Immunocal and LifeWave glutathione patches? And it gave me a whole thing, how much studies and stuff that Immunocal has, and how the other studies are like none with the LifeWave patches and stuff. So, yeah.
And not that you guys have to argue with anyone, but bottom line, that is my challenge. I wanted to put this video together that you guys would have, that if you're going like, listen, if you think your product's all that in a bag of chips, can you send me your gold star studies? Can you send me your clinical studies? Because I love that interview that Dr. Gutman did, and it's actually interviewed and on the playlist. But he said, listen, I'm not saying that their glutathione doesn't work. I'm just saying that it works temporarily. It does not build your glutathione levels. It just spikes them like sugar does or caffeine does, right? It's like, so a lot of people take drugs and stimulants because it lasts for a little bit. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? If people smoke because of nicotine, or they drink coffee or a Monster, that's a temporary shot of caffeine or nicotine. Do you guys get it? And that's why you need it again. So we don't give people glutathione. We give people the precursor that actually gets our body to produce its own glutathione to raise it to the levels that we lost. And see, so that's a very big distinction. So if someone said, well, I have a patch, or I have a pill, or I have a liquid that gives me glutathione, you'd go, well, listen, I'm sorry for the misunderstanding. That's not what we do. What do you think their next question would be? Well, what does your product do? Listen, I'm not a doctor, but I'd like to share with you a video. See what I mean? I'm just really, you guys know me, that knowing me forever. The reason I kick everyone's ass is because I point, guide, and direct. I point, guide, and direct. I point, guide, and direct. And soon as I get involved with people, they're like, well, listen, how about if I put all this stuff in a little file, and then what I'm going to do is memorize it, and then I'm going to throw up on people. And I'm going like, listen, do whatever you want to do, but I'm going to point, guide, and direct. Does that make sense to y'all? I think I thought of it all, but I just wanted to put a video together that, show me the money, show me the documentation. Documentation beats conversation. Show me that your product is better. The reason that Terry and I made over $24,000 in less than our first 60 days was not because we're smart, is because it's an unfair advantage. We have an unfair advantage of a company that's this documented and Immunocal being this documented, right? Do you have 3,000 testimonials on the product? So I'd rather be with a company where all this documentation is there and you got doctors and celebrities that have millions of followers that are promoting. Why wouldn't you want to use the best product? That blows my mind. That really shows me, for those that are in challenge mode, that really shows me that you're not about people. You're about money. I'm about people. So once I get educated on something, I want to give people point, guide, and direct. I want to give them information on the very best product that will help them. Because I don't want to build a customer base with another company that's marketing glutathione and they find out about Immunocal. Because when they find out about Immunocal, they're dropping you and they're going with us. Does that make sense? Because they're looking at their overall health, not in making money. So that is the challenge that I have for anybody out there that's got a more documented product than ours. Prove it to me, and then I'll be interested. What's the other word instead of documentation beats conversation? Now it's said, show me the receipts. That's a new buzzword. We got the receipts. Show us yours.
Oh, and I try a lot of different products. So of course I tried the LifeWave patches. Since 2018, I've tried them, not tried them, tried them, not tried them. And so this lady pointed out, well, you got to be on them about 18 months for them to start working. I'm like, fuck that.
18 months.
18 months. I gave my girlfriend, the nurse, before she gets her product, the blue packets and the energy because she found out she's anemic. And I asked her yesterday after 2 days of taking it. And she's like, well, I take it in the afternoon and my energy is way more better. She said, I'm not sure if it works that fast. I go, it fucking works that fast.
Okay, can you guys imagine for a second, her friend, her best friend since her kindergarten, right? And how would you guys like a testimonial where someone says, oh my God, I took your product and my energy is a lot better than it's been in a long time. So I don't know if it was the product. How many people would be okay with that testimony? Because just like David Oliver, another guy we have is like, he's got, arthritis, he's got a flooring company. So he just beat up his body his whole life. And as soon as he ran out of the product, he said his hands started hurting.
I said, put it on subscription.
You know what I mean? So that is the cool thing. When people are on the product and then they go off the product, they remember, I got to get back on this product. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. A really quick thing, Dana, I'll have Craig. He does it better than me. So we'll talk about us and Dana spending some time with you in a little while.